Hi everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. So if you're like me, and most people are, we've had a busy day, whether you've been at work all day or you've been taking care of family, whatever it is, we always seem to be on the run. Now I've had family in town. My daughter and my granddaughter were in town for about the last 4 days, and it was great spending time with them. Today they went home, so now I'm trying to get my house back in order from having a 1-year-old running around, because tomorrow it's back at work. So what I wanted to do was take the time though to have a really good meal. We've been on the run so much, we really haven't cooked a whole lot. So tonight was the perfect time to kind of put together a really good tasting meal. So I wanted to take you through cooking a nice trout. We're gonna have a baked trout with a buttered rice and seasoned broccoli. Now, believe it or not, you can cook this dish in less than an hour. It literally takes about 14 to 18 minutes to cook the fish, depending on the thickness of your fish. Rice is very simple and quick to make, and it's just basically some steamed broccoli with a little bit of seasoning on it. Nothing extravagant, but yet tasty. The main star of this dish is the trout. So let me show you the ingredients that we're going to be working with when it comes to our trout. Now, I'm not going to be walking you through how to cook the rice. I mean, it's a basic, simple white rice, butter, salt, pepper, some things like that. And again, like I said, the broccoli is just some steamed broccoli with some seasoning on it. The main star of this dish is going to be this trout. So I wanted to show you how I create the trout with an amazing sauce, and it's just going to be perfection. So here you can see the ingredients that we're going to be working with. Now you see I have a nice piece of trout. I'm going to cut this in 2 pieces just to make it fit in my pan. But if you had a pan long enough, then you could certainly make this one whole piece. I've got about, I would say, a cup, about 3/4 of a cup of some finely chopped onion, a half a stick of butter. I've got about 2 tablespoons of garlic. Now, if you don't like garlic, you can omit it or cut back on the garlic, whatever your preference is. I've got some dill weed, some lemon, and just my choice of white wine. So this is going to be the star of our show. Okay, so I have my stovetop set on a medium heat. I want it hot enough to brown the butter lightly, but not burn it. I've also got my oven set to 425. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to begin by putting the butter in. And like I said, this is about a half a stick of butter. You want to get that butter melting, and you want your temperature about medium, just so that you're browning the butter without burning the butter. There's nothing worse than a burnt butter taste, but a brown butter has an extra layer of flavor versus just melting a stick of butter. So about a half a stick in here. We're going to get this melted. And while that is melting, I'm going to add our onions. And we want to cook these onions until they basically are starting to get soft and a little translucent. All right, so the onions have been cooking for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and add our garlic in here. I love garlic. I don't know about you guys, but it's like one of my favorite things. And like I said, if you don't like garlic, you can omit it. You're still going to get a good taste from the dill weed and the lemon and the wine. So it can still be made just as tasty without the garlic. But if you are a garlic lover like me, then this is going to add an extra layer of flavor. So let's continue to cook these for a few more minutes, get these onions really soft and translucent, and then we'll go to our next step. Okay, so our onions have been cooking for a few minutes. You can see that the butter has browned slightly, not burnt, but brown. All right, and to that we're going to add about, I'd say about a teaspoon of lemon juice. I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of wine, white wine. And that's just to kick that flavor up. And you can, if you don't drink or don't like the taste of wine, you can leave it out. And then we're going to add roughly about a teaspoon of dill. Now, you can add other things if you'd like. Now, I did add a little bit of parsley flakes in there just to give it a little pop of color and a little addition of flavor. I'm also going to add some salt and pepper. Now, I'm not going to give you a measurement on the salt and pepper just because it's going to be basically to taste. My salt preference and your salt preference are not going to be the same. And the same thing goes for pepper. So from this step right here, add your salt and pepper to how you like it, your flavor palette, and it's just going to give it that extra kick. Once this is done, we're going to top this over our fish, so it's going to have a really amazing flavor. Now, this sauce is amazing alone as it is. You can see that the butter has browned a nice golden color. I did add some parsley just to add a little extra to it. So by itself right here, perfect. We added some salt and pepper, we're set. Now, I decided at the last second here to kick it up a notch here with Slap Your Mama seasoning because I just want a little bit of kick on my fish tonight. Now, you can add extra seasonings like this. If you do, please do the seasoning first, then add salt, because a lot of these seasonings have salt in it. I already know exactly what this tastes like and how much salt is in it, so therefore I salted beforehand and I'm still good. Okay, you can see I have got the trout cut up. I put it in a roughly 10 by 13 pan and I lined it with some parchment paper so that the fish doesn't stick. Our sauce is done, and it's just as simple now as ladling the sauce over your fish. And then we're going to pop it in the oven and we're going to bake it. The fish is going to get a nice golden brown color. It's going to be flaky and tasty. Okay. Okay, now ideally you would like to have this on one of the long cookie sheets that has an edge that's around it that's about this deep. I guess they call it a bar pan. A long bar pan would be great because it has just enough of an edge to keep the butter in, but it's long enough that you can really put your fish out there. I didn't have that at the moment, so I am using a 10 by 13 pan. Now I have a little butter pooled in certain sections here, and that's okay. It'll butter poach it in a way, and then I'll have something to constantly baste with, as well as if you used a cookie sheet, you'd constantly baste it. So we're going to put this in the oven. Now my fish is thinner, so I'm estimating it's probably going to be about 12 to 14 minutes on here. But realistically, depending on the thickness of your fish, 12 to 18 minutes, and it should be done. Okay, and here is the finished product. Took about 14 minutes roughly in the oven for the fish. And then just served it with a side of rice and veggies. Now, if you want crispier skin, of course you can pan fry it to get that crispy skin on the bottom and the flaky crust, but I'm trying to avoid frying, so baked. There you go, enjoy.